Ladies and gentlemen, we're actually early tonight on Sportswire Radio, and with plenty of good reasons, because our guest is no stranger to Sportswire Radio. But the last time he was on to where he is now, it's a totally different landscape. Not only for this platform, not only for him, but maybe even for about to be what we're going to see him in. Because on June 1st, we see him return to the Riot in the Ring for our friends over at NEW Underground Wrestling. And it's 5 rounds, one winner. And Mr. Havok is going to test his skills. And we're going to see if the super kick, if we're going to see all the other things that he does, all the death defying stunts, all the other things you've seen him do in his career, which has helped him accomplish things such as the EHW World Championship, the RWA Hardcore title, the BYW World title, and a slew of other accomplishments, which has made him a hardcore deathmatch legend in the upstate New York scene. Plus, even his own specialty, those death ladder matches, which he knows a thing or two. And it looks like, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Havok has even brought some toys in the background, which he might be using on full display on June the 1st. Boy, I would certainly want to tread lightly with this man. I've even seen it first up close and personal on this platform with some of the people, some of the supposed hardcore wrestlers that have come on this platform, some of the guys with 3 initials that he's wrestled and tarred and feathered. And I don't think that guy will be going into any hardcore or deathmatch wrestling anytime soon. The only thing he might be trying to do is some hardcore nursery rhymes and induct himself into 8 more Hall of Fames and maybe go into more 8 or 9 different beat off somebody, or maybe some movies that don't exist, or maybe go to some other county that nobody's heard of, because he doesn't want any part of our opponent. And I have a feeling that some inside NEW and those outside that might call themselves backyard wrestling darlings and champions elsewhere may very well be saying the same thing that a guy with 3 initials found out up close and personal, and that's why he's not going back to a ring anytime soon. And I have a feeling that these cast of characters in the Riot in the Ring may find out what I've known for a very, very long time. All I can say tonight, ladies and gentlemen, if you thought what went on Sportswire Radio in the past 10 or 11 days, where we had one guy who called himself a standout and then was certainly trying to stand out on the toilet last Sunday when he came back to Sportswire Radio, and one guy who came on and did his own best version of Timberland and One Direction's apology, and he did apologize. I don't know where it's going with that. Or another guy that calls himself Craven Rage and decided he didn't want to be in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, and then the next day said basically it was an April Fool's. He wants to be in the Hall of Fame. We had guys that call themselves Big Bad Silver Wolves, but really just have big bad ball patches, and guys that might call themselves Tyler Ark and wrestled in hardcore death matches with guys like Skulls, who might have said that have experiences in the ring, but the only thing they might have good experiences in is maybe playing 2K because their podcast skills don't match up to even Promo Wrestling Federation that James Taylor owns, and other people that have come in here that we never thought we would see, like the headline Aaron Blaze, the main event. You want to talk about controversy? Sure, Mr. Havok has had that, but Aaron Blaze is that in himself. We've even had guys like Copper Dragon, who he may be Mr. Dave Meltzer of the backyard wrestling scene. He might be our ambassador, but until he reviews a Stefan Havok match, he ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, I can keep going, but you know what? Since it's been over 15 months since our guest has last been on this platform has changed. He's changed. The world has changed. It's time to give him that introduction that wasn't quite as good the last time he was here. And since so many of his peers, maybe even one guy he wrestled with 3 initials that wrestled where he basically was, I don't know, maybe he had less gas in the tank after 2 minutes than maybe a car that basically runs out off the track in a drag race in Fast and the Furious. And even those opponents, inside and outside of NEW, that could very well be seeing him on 3 weeks have gotten that introduction. It's time to give him that introduction that everybody's been waiting for. And I've been waiting for, most importantly, because we're about all wrestling matters, figuratively and literally. And our guest has been doing that for over 20 plus years in his career. So let's get right to it, ladies and gentlemen, because we're in prime time and it's Sunday night and we are getting ready for the riot in the ring. And stand by, because tonight is going to be a riot on Sportswire Radio, because I can assure you, you ain't seen nothing until our guest speaks and some. So with without further ado, here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show, the reigning, defending BYW world champion, the man who specializes in the death ladder match. His name is, simply put, Stefan Havok. My friend, welcome back. Long time no speak.
It's good to be here. How are you?
I'm great, I think. Ask me about my voice in about an hour from now, but the world has changed so much from the last time you came on this platform to where we are now. I hope it's for the better. I think it's for the better. You obviously look great. You've obviously accomplished a lot, and you're going to be a part of something that I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in what you bring to the table. And I see that a lot of people already in comments that want to say a few things. It's been a while. But I think I'm going to start off here in a different way, because for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters, Stefan Havok, a man that has certainly been as well accomplished as anybody that's in the riot in the ring. I'll start off nice and easy, which is kind of a rare thing considering what you do to your opponents and what you do to your body. What can those that may be watching the riot in the ring expect and get to know about Stefan Havok?
What can you expect in the riot in the ring? Blood. I'm there.
Real blood, right? Unlike some other people that you've wrestled, right? Real blood.
I'm there for blood. I am there for blood. I'm not there for glory. I'm there to prevent someone else's glory. I'm there for blood.
You like the taste of blood?
I can't sit there and tell you that I potentially like doing it sometimes, but there's definitely a rush. It's a
rush like no other.
Whether you see it trickling down your own head or whether you see it on somebody else, there's definitely a rush there for sure.
Absolutely, no question that there is, and I have no doubt that we're going to be seeing blood. Unlike, let's say, some other people that go out there and say they're hardcore and wrestle death matches where their blood really is more coming out from Heinz ketchup packets or maybe some art packets they had in school that they maybe had over in the closet still. But, you obviously have done a lot. You've obviously accomplished a lot. And talk to me about being in the riot in the ring. For those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, what does it mean to you to be in the riot in the ring?
I think it's an amazing idea. Open up your fed to outsiders, throw on a big event. It could be like the Yards WrestleMania if it goes well, people from all over all over are coming there.
Oh my goodness! I mean, we even have guys
8.5 hour drives to get there. There's it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's wild. It's we have people from all over the place, and I know we're gonna talk a lot about you. There's a lot to unpack here with you. It's been a while since you've been on this platform, and there's a lot of people that probably forgot the last time you came on and want to reintroduce yourself to you here. And it's so fascinating, and I want to give a lot of credit to NEW first of all before anything else, because I continue to say this, and we're going to talk, I'm sure, a lot about it with Justin Abel saying on Tuesday's show. And one of those outsiders, Mr. D'Angelo LaFlame, Thursday night, is that when you think about putting on something to give, whether it's fans, wrestlers, another place to be able to see who is the very best, this is what it should be about, and only about in the yard. It shouldn't be about, well, I don't want to go somewhere because I didn't want to wrestle that person. I want to wrestle that type of match. I didn't want to, quote unquote, lose to that person. What we've done here in NEW speaks volumes to the character of not only people like yourself, who, again, you've made your teeth and you've got a lot of success out there in Rochester and upstate New York. You could easily have stayed there. You could easily do what you're doing when you've done an RWA and EHW, whatever you've done in your career. You could do all of that. But the facts are, is you, many other people, and the people within NEW have decided, you know what? I want to see who's the best. I want to see, can I test my skills against people I would never get a chance to see? Maybe I've watched them on YouTube. Maybe I've watched them here on Sportswire, whether it's on YouTube, a clip on Instagram or Facebook, and you can kind of see really who is the best. That's what it should be. Years ago, back in the day, the NWA and the AWA and the WWF used to regularly wrestle. Who was the best world champion? Bob Backlund and Ric Flair, and Nick Bockwinkel and Bob Backlund, and Ric Flair and Nick Bockwinkel, and Andre the Giant would wrestle this person and that person. And that was really what it's about. And I think what we've done here with Riot in the Ring, whether it's people like yourself, whether it's people like D'Angelo LaFlame, people like Gabe Sayers, although I know he's not going to be refereeing here, and this Riot in the Ring, guys like Doc Holliday, who are living legends, and the list goes on and on and on. This is what it should be about. This is really, ladies and gentlemen, about all wrestling matters.
Oh, I agree with that completely. I think it's just like a brilliant concept that has like the ability to grow.
Does that motivate you going into this? I mean, we're going to talk a lot about different things in a few minutes, but does that motivate you that you're kind of in something that maybe it takes off, and this could kind of give you a second look to people that may only be familiar with stuff you've seen, from us on this platform, or just what you've done recently in RWA?
I mean, I think if it blows up, that's great for them. I mean, like, as it is right now, I'm just an outsider looking in. I'm just there to say hello,
Something tells me, though, you're not going to just say hello, though.
No, I mean, when you introduce yourself, you want to make an impact. You know what I mean? You want to leave a lasting impression. You don't want to just... I would... And then weeks later, they were like, I forget all about... No. You want to leave a lasting impression.
Absolutely. No question about that. And you definitely have an impression there, because does that look like a toy you have in the background? You have some toys that you might potentially be introducing some of your competitors?
Sometimes you got to custom make shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow. Now I have to ask you. Now, again, you don't have to spoil your secrets for those that are listening and watching. Mr. Havok, I may know you for a little while, but how long did that take you to actually come up with something like that? Because I have to imagine, even if it's custom made, that had to take quite a while to make.
I mean, probably a good hour of just, making sure they stick.
Something tells me that those aren't clip-ons. Something tells me that those are real.
Oh, no, those are absolutely real. And, of course, I always bring my friend.
Oh, well, that I knew. I mean, my
friend goes everywhere I go.
Well, I mean, I'm sure your opponents are going to find that out. And obviously, let's talk about the Riot in the Ring for a second. There's obviously a list of competitors. We'll go through them. But to reintroduce you back on Sportswire for the first time in 15 months, and it's certainly been one of the more, I guess, longer waits for any Sportswire radio guest in recent memory to have come back on the platform. I think it was you and Prince Dagan. Prince Dagan, who at the time was the CCW World Underground Champion, and I think it was about 15 and a half months. So you nearly beat him in terms of in between appearances. But I'll leave that for a different time. But we were talking, Stefan Havok, with Jake Matthews last night. Obviously, Mr. Best on the card, the Born to Battle briefcase holder, a man that is obviously, some may say, might be the best Sportswire Radio Hall of Famer. He's certainly better than C2K. I mean, obviously, I'm sure that most people would say that at this point. That's probably one, that's one of the mulligan ones. And, correctly, I'm sure you were one of the people at some point, cannot confirm or deny, that would say, yeah, Tom, what were you doing there? But, obviously, it is what it is. But the points is that Mr. Matthews and I were talking about, let's say, your experience and maybe your age as an elder statesman versus some of the more younger competitors coming up in the ring. Let's say like some young whippersnappers, like a D Savage or a Tyson Spade, the current NEW World Heavyweight Champion, Power Surge. I mean, boy, you would love to put him, I'm sure, with some barbed wire through his surges. Maybe that'll light him up a little bit. The likes of Justin Abel Sane and even outsiders like D'Angelo LaFlame and Rhea Silver. The point is that you are one of the elder statesmen in this tournament coming up. And I'm wondering, what did you think about some of those comments last night? And what would you like to say about it?
So the funny thing is many, many, many years ago, I walked away from wrestling. It's not, I'm not secretive about it. I did it for personal reasons. When I came back, the funny thing is, I didn't lose a step. I was smarter. I was stronger. Like, the age difference doesn't even matter. The fact that I took that break, all I did is I added that extra longevity to what I'm doing. Like, no. Age doesn't matter here, my friend. It's not going to slow me down. It's not going to hurt me. That's not the issue here. That's not the issue. If anything, they should worry about the knowledge. Like, I've been through it all. I've seen different decades of what the yard looked like.
You started in the late 90s. I mean, think about, your heyday. I mean, the world has changed, but yet you've been able to adapt and thrive. So let me then ask you, since you say that, you have the knowledge and you feel good, do you feel as good as you've ever felt right now in your career?
Oh, I feel like the best I've ever felt in my entire life, honestly. Like, you go through ups and downs in your life. You go through some health. You go through some stuff.
This last week on Sportswire, I've went through ups and downs. I even had a guy that actually I had to throw off the platform because he was drunk in a bar and was basically irate and belligerent. I mean, I literally had to throw the guy off the platform and deactivate him. So I can appreciate the up and downs because this week has been that on Sportswire.
If there was a world where a multiverse of whatever could happen, if I could meet my younger self, I would whoop the shit out of him. So
Why would you do that?
Why? Just to tell him that, as cocky as he thinks he is, as far as he thinks he's going, it ain't shit. It ain't shit. And maybe change his path to where he doesn't take that break. You know what I mean?
Could you say, though, that because you took the break, maybe it's lengthened your career?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. That's why I've had 0 injuries my entire career. I mean, maybe bruised ribs, maybe a couple like stitches, but are those injuries? No. Injuries are like long-term healing, Never had any.
So but then I would have to say that gives you something that, in a way, you're not the elder statesman that we portrayed you at because you had the break. You say you feel the best you felt in your career. And in a way, sure, I'm sure hindsight's 2020. You would have loved to have kept going. There was a long break, but because you had the break, you now are doing things that, let's be honest, you wouldn't be doing. And it's given you this shot in the arm. And, you've got, as they would say, then conversely, since you obviously are explaining to us here that you feel the best you've felt, that you've got a fountain of youth, or maybe in this case, it's a fountain of blood, because there's nobody in this tournament, arguably, that loves blood as much as Stefan Havok. And after all, you are kind of a hardcore icon, at least in the upstate New York area. So maybe you've got the fountain of blood going in to the riot in the ring, my friend.
I kind of like that fountain of blood.
I'm trying new things. Yesterday, this guy, Silver Wolf, I said he's the big bad bald patch in his head. And, we use Tyler Ark. He's certainly no Joan of Arc. So we're trying different things here. So in case I do such a bad job on Sportswire, I can try for a career on stand-up comedy. Because after all, Mick Foley tried stand-up comedy. I can probably try it as well.
You definitely made me laugh a few times during a.
Well, which is a lot more than the first time, because I don't think I made you laugh once the first time on the platform.
No,
you're back
I don't
15
think you
months later. Yeah, I think I'm a better host than then. But I have a lot of comments. I'm going to hold on to some thoughts here, because a lot of people want to talk to you, because people are excited to be here with us. And thank you so much for all of your support out there. And let me get to some comments here. Mr. Jake Matthews here. Speaking of blood, I'm going to get to him shortly. Hashtag riot in the ring. He says, see you soon. Thank you for the intro. And no, I had soda, actually. I had Big Gulp, because I'm always tired. And you would say, well, what's in my veins would be blood. It's probably Big Gulp sodas. Want to say hello to one of my buddies out there from the great state of Pennsylvania, Mr. Andrew Lovelace, the be-all, end-all. He is our Sportswire Radio house DJ. He is our resident DJ. He's going to be here with us on June 5th, 7:30 p.m., spinning your favorite tunes. So, Stefan Havok, maybe if you win the riot in the ring, you want to hear some drum and bass, some techno, some victory music, Andrew will be spinning your favorites, and he'll be here live, because he'll be back on his alter ego, which is the Dirty White Boy, the DJ Dirty White Boy. He'll be here spinning some music. So if you're out here right now watching, you better be here with us and requesting some of your music, because my guy, Andrew Lovelace, is going to be here on June the 5th, Wednesday night, 7:30. Speaking of people that should interview you, who's got a lot more followers, a lot more subscribers, has also done some hardcore wrestling once upon a time. And he started, I believe, the same time as you did, the Nemesis James Taylor, the host of the Nemesis Sessions. He's got about 121,000 followers now on social media. He just put up a match that he wrestled about 20 years ago in the old TWA, and he says hello, and I think he meant to say hello, Mr. Havok. And Mr. Taylor, put this person on your list of future guests upcoming. Speaking of people, the IMF Tag Team Champions, one half of them, Mr. Darkron, who's hosting an event, which I'm going to ask you a question on, upcoming in Bremen, Ohio, from July 5th to July 7th, that maybe you have a thought or two on. I'm going to hang on to that in a little while. He says evening, and I also want to wish his son well, because his son had a little bit of an accident, I believe, yesterday. So I want to give my thoughts and prayers to Combat Joe Stone, whatever else he goes by these days, and say that I am praying for him. And also, before I do anything, I got to wish a happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, and especially my mother, because after all, having me as a son, it's almost like, Ric Flair when he gets thrown out of a pizza place and Ric Flair gets drunk out there and Ric Flair's always saying something stupid or something silly. I'm kind of like that. Think about having me as a son, right? Having a guy like me that has these long intros and, looks like this and, has these videos on social media and, has people that come onto Sportswire, who do a number two, and guys who get thrown out of a bar live on Sportswire, and guys who do apologies, guys who try to say they're wrestlers, but they really aren't, should stay on the training wheels of Fisher Price, maybe can play water balloon fights, maybe they could have death matches and water balloons. Is that such a thing? Because maybe Silver Wolf and Tyler Ark and Skulls can do like a triple threat like death match with water balloons. I don't know if that's possible. I don't want to give anybody ideas, but to have me as a son, think about it, right? Guy like me who just speaks and speaks and speaks, in a way, in fact, some people say me with the mic is worse than CM Punk, because I can go on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Who knows what comes out of my mouth? So imagine with dealing with me. So that's why we got to give a happy Mother's Day out there, especially to my mother out there, because like I said, dealing with this individual, dealing with this larger than life character. I mean, sure, some people might say I'm the voice of backyard wrestling and underground wrestling. I am the underground, the backyard. After all, I do kind of look like that. But certainly to put up with me, for my existence, I am sure that somebody's going to laugh at this out there. But seriously, happy Mother's Day. I wasn't able to do anything today because, well, all I do is either figure out doing something with this and actually working once upon a time and try to put a few dollars in my pocket to keep Sportswire going. But Happy Mother's Day. I could keep going and going and going and going, but I think even my mother would say, get the show on the road already. Let's hear from Stefan Havok. We want to hear some more hardcore and deathmatch stuff and real hardcore and deathmatch stuff, especially when it comes to the riot in the ring from NEW and all of the true wrestlers who do it for the love of this sport, like Mr. Havok. And I hope that you would enjoy this to my mother out there. So I hope that you would enjoy. And after all, you've put up with me for all the existence. Like I said, it's almost like putting up with Ric Flair and, when you see the documentaries with him and everybody else in between. So that's what I wanted to say. I know I'm a little bit behind on the Mother's Day wishes, but Stefan Havok, I'm not one of those people that likes to post the traditional photos and Happy Mother's Day. And I like to do it in my own way. Because, on Sportswire, we like to do things different. We like to do things unique, grandiose. And I like to do it in the only way that we could do it here on this platform. So thank you for that. Stefan Havok should be in the C2K Hall of Fame. Have you been inducted into his Hall of Fame? Because he's got the talk show, C2K, Nursery Rhymes, C2K in Dunkirk. Maybe he can show the Zack Attack a few moves that C2K had. Let's not talk about his match against Luke Draven. Craven Rage don't even want to see it. C2K talk show, you don't want to see it. You put the C2K show with the Zack Attack, the big bad bald patch, with the Tyler Ark show, Adonis Felios, he's dripping like sweat on a July summer day. Skulls in between, it's time to get the show on the road. C2K, you want to put Havok in your Hall of Fame. All right, let's get the show on the road. That's what Mr. Havok is saying. I do like that thumb tech chair as well. I'm tongue-tied twisted, as you can see. He loved the chair. He loves the blood. Jake Matthews definitely has more blood in his pinky than most. That it is Matthew Forsaken's weapon of choice. I'm going to get to him in a little while. And yes, you are definitely better than C2K because you defeated him in 2 minutes back in RWA. But we'll certainly leave that alone. And also, age might not hurt you, but someone in the Riot in the Ring tournament might. Let's get to serious business for a second. What do you make about that comment from Mr. Jake Matthews?
I think he should probably keep his bracket far away from mine as possible. That's what I think. Maybe not in the Riot, but I feel like our paths will definitely cross.
He said he didn't know much about you last night. He didn't really know what to make of you. What did you make of that?
I don't put myself out there. I don't really care. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. So a lot of people don't really know who I am or what I'm capable of or what I'm about at all, really. I mean, that's on them. You can find me if you look, but if you're not looking.
I had you on this platform once upon a time, but do you think in a way that works in your favor because you are kind of this under the radar guy where a lot of these guys in the Riot in the Ring, they're ballyhooed. They're talked about every day on this platform. One guy in particular, D'Angelo LaFlame, is this backyard wrestling underground darling right now. He's the guy that a lot of people are saying can go to the stars, can go to the stratosphere. He can even go and write his check somewhere to anywhere he wants. But you're a guy that's under the radar. You've had this fountain of blood that you've had here for the past 14 or 15 months since you've come back. And maybe it works in your advantage than being an under the radar.
I mean, a lot of people in their 20s, they're doing it because they love it. They're doing it because eventually they want to have enough money to train, go pro. Some people are pro. They go back and forth. You know what I mean? I'm not going anywhere. That's not what I'm trying to do. I have my own stuff, my own life. It would interfere with that. My age, for sure. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to have fun in the yards, do what I love doing, take that rush in, and then, back out in the sunset.
Fair point. I can certainly respect all that. Mr. Darkron says he agrees. Age doesn't mean anything, and you've shown that that's the case. Also, he says, tell me about it. My axle broke, and my son flipped his car last night. A bad week, and I think I gave a few thoughts on that. And yeah, there's this guy Silver Wolf. He calls himself the Big Bad Silver Wolf. I don't know if you've been following. He's really the big. He's got a big bad bald patch on his head. I don't know if he'd want to face you. I mean, you'd probably literally. I mean, with the stuff you do and the stuff that you've done, I don't think that Mr. Silver Wolf would want to do that. He would be the boy who cried wolf if he wound up being in the ring with you. But I'll leave out there the guy who's got a big bad bald patch on his head, but for a different time. He really does have. I mean, I hate to make fun, but he does really have a big bald patch on his head. It's a big bad bald patch on the top of his head. It almost looks like if a bird is like laying eggs on the nest, that's kind of the silver wolf. He's literally the big bad bald patch. It's not even the big bad silver wolf. He's the big bad bald patch. But book it, Tom. Speaking of people that's names are Craven Rage, who is the Backyard Nightmare, says evening, Tom Bryce. And speaking of people that are hardcore, a guy, Omen Black. I don't know if you know much about Omen Black, and he is the hardcore god. He is the boogeyman of the Midwest. It is his show, after all. And he was just wrestling yesterday in the Palo Community Center in Iowa. He had his own hardcore death match, and he certainly did a few things that you would probably be pretty proud of, Mr. Havok. And he does say here, he goes back and forth with Mr. Matthews. Okay, we'll certainly see that. Yeah, he wants tag match between himself and Silver Wolf and Ark. Triple W is Triple L. They're big fat losers. Silver Wolf asked him to get better. Well, you could probably give him some advice, Mr. Havok. The advice you'd probably give him is just stay as far away from the ring as possible and probably just stay in his mom's basement. But different conversation for a different time. Is this the guy? Not only is this the guy who wrestled him, he cleaned his clock with him. I mean, I don't want to spend too much on it, but yes, this is the guy that defeated him when he was the RWA Hardcore Champion. Yes, that is Mr. Stefan Havok, and he certainly watched the match, and has been a match that I'm sure is been talked about, not on your obviously behalf, but rather your opponent's behalf, and how much he had said about his return. And well, his return was obviously quicker than a New York minute, so obviously that's what he was kind of referring to. It is. I gave my mom a Mother's Day card that said, Happy Mother's Day on your poor choices in men with weak pull-out game. Well, I could certainly say, Mr. Lovelace, I would certainly say that I am not going to comment on that, but what I will say is that Happy Mother's Day to your mother and all the mothers out there, including Mr. Havok's, and including all of the people listening to Sportswire Radio. And I still say happy birthday to my mother, and especially putting up with a guy like me with my larger-than-life persona, my certainly inflated ego, and certainly bad jokes and everything else in between, and my louder than hell intros and everything else that you have to deal with here on this platform. Jake, it's a waste of time. You're better off training C2K to stop posting stupid pictures and talk shows on Facebook. Isn't he doing like gospel talk now? Is it gospel talk? Praise the Lord that C2K is back in the ring. Praise the Lord. C2K and Zack Attack are going to wrestle a tag team match. And maybe, just maybe, Adonis Felios with Loose Cannon, the guy that faked cancer, will be the referee. C2K, the nursery rhymes, according to God. C2K, Dunkirk, 24-16. Stay tuned for more. C2K. So James Taylor loves my rap, by the way. Maybe, Rikishi just came out with a new rap single, by the way. I think if Rikishi can come out with a new rap single, maybe I can come out with a rap single. So if there is a studio producer out there that wants to put me in the studio, I am sure we can make that happen. Mr. Havok, it's certainly different than the last time you came on here because there's a lot of people that want to talk. That's my next job. MC Reverend Tom is a musical genius, just like J-Rock. Mr. Havok, I can assure you these gentlemen were not paid to say these things, but these gentlemen just, they're just enjoying you being on this platform. And did C2K, well, I think the C2K paranormal is basically C2K on a daily basis. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, C2K every day, it would be a paranormal investigation because you're wondering, like, is he working today? Is he like, where is he? Is he going to do like, what is he going to copy next? Is he going to copy wrestling? Is he going to copy movies? Is he going to have comic books next? Is he going to have Hall of Fames more to copy? Maybe he'll copy himself. Is he going to copy, I don't know, maybe newspapers? Maybe that's going to be next, the C2K newspapers, C2K in the news. That way you can get a whole section, a whole day's worth of C2K news. C2K interviews Zack Attack. Then next page, C2K interviews Silverwolf. Next page, C2K and Loose Cannon talk about who's been a bigger scam in the wrestling business. Oops, C2K next. C2K and Adonis Felios, who can drip more. C2K and John the Rock Jackson. Oh, is that such a thing? Maybe I should have mentioned those two names in the same sentence. Ooh, Pipe Bomb, C2K. I don't know. Maybe it was more CM Punk-like for me. C2K next. Is he going to go back to Puerto Rico and wrestle, or is that just basically kind of like somebody like Milli Vanilli? Didn't they used to sing too, and then they found out that it didn't happen, or am I just not supposed to say anymore? Maybe it's time for me to move on because I think you got the picture here. James, don't tell me that's an actual thing. It kind of was, but let's move away from that because people are getting bored. It's real. Actually, people aren't getting bored. The link. Oh, how you doing, C2K? Good to see you, C2K. C2K talk show. You know you want to see C2K. I messaged you on Instagram. Thanks, bro. Comment C2K. Hi, Tom. C2K. I thought CJ Black was teaming with C2K. No, Havok beat C2K. I don't watch. I don't know what the players. So many comments. Let me just get through them. It's the 7-star superstar. See, that is CJ Black. What's up, C2K? I want to see a paranormal series. Is that paranormal? Are they going to do it, C2K? He's saying not going to happen. C2K versus Loose Cannon. I think the winner would be for $1,000. Would that be for the $1,000 that Loose Cannon scammed at Triple L? Would that be for that match was, or is that all Monopoly money now? C2K first episode hunts for the ghost or the ghost of Zack Attack, right? C2K, I want to go on your show. He stayed in DTW. Oh boy. Tom paid me $20 to be in this chat. Yeah, that was what I think Russell Cooper wanted. That he's the TBW world champion. He alleged that I was paying Gage Flair to come on the show when I showed him the screenshots. And he was like, oops, I'm autistic. Oops, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Down to wrestle, DTW. Okay, the good guy, CJ Black, you're going to be on my show. Love that. C2K is everywhere. No comment on that. C2K versus Omen Black. Oops, my bad. Deathmatch. Okay, we got the points. Mr. Havok, a little bit more comments. We'll come back to if you're on Instagram right now and you want to actually follow Stefan Havok, that's his Instagram channel. If you want to follow him on YouTube, that's his YouTube channel. If you want to get some merchandise, I'll put that up in the screen. You can get that as well. And tomorrow night, I'll be here with a guy that calls himself a hardcore king, but probably compared to what you have in the background, probably not really a hardcore king, and maybe some would say a hardcore queen. But he might be as much as a drama queen as Madonna these days. I am talking about none other than Atomic Titan. He'll be here at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. But in the meantime, we are here with Stefan Havok. Okay, Stefan Havok, obviously we talked a little bit about some different things, but I wanted to ask you something for a second. For those that are listening and watching in Sportzwire, I'll come back to the riot in the ring. But there is this thing coming up from July 5th to July 7th. It's called Summer Bash. It's going to be in Bremen, Ohio. It's going to be hosted by some of the guys in DKW, IMF, and there's this tournament that kind of in a way Sportswire Radio has something to do with for a championship, whatever they decide to do with it and how that'll actually take place to crown the winner. It's called the All Wrestling Matters World Underground Championship. And Stefan Havok, you've been a man that has had multiple championships within the last year. You've accomplished pretty much as there is anybody that can do in the upstate wrestling hardcore deathmatch scene. I was wondering what your thoughts on that would be, and if that was something you might be interested in, on July 5th to July 7th, to maybe enter yourself in the All Wrestling Matters World Underground Championship competition and see some of these names here that are hardcore deathmatch guys that actually can do it. Obviously your former opponent C2K probably wouldn't qualify respectfully for this, but Mr. Havok, you would if you wanted to, and I was wondering what your thoughts were on some of that.
It's something that I'll probably check out. Kind of see what happens there, and after it finishes and they crown a champion, and if it does matter and it continues to matter, then it would be something that I am interested in.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's fair. That's fair. And, I'm curious in, let's say, hardcore and deathmatch wrestlers currently that are in the backyard in the underground. Let's say those that are going to be in the riot in the ring. Is there anybody or a few people particularly you're curious in and might be looking forward to meeting on June the 1st?
I mean, absolutely. I'm excited to meet everybody that's there. A lot of people I've been in the same area as, but I didn't really meet them. A lot of people I have met. I've never met anybody from NEW, so that's exciting. Um, that's like a whole group of people, and all the like the late add-ons that have been coming in from the outside. I haven't met any of them, so that's like really awesome too. Like just that, just like the fact that like people are coming from all over. Like as far as like the wrestling goes and like the tournament goes, like I said, I mean I'm there for a different reason other than yeah, I'm not there to. I mean, if I wanted to go to distance, you never know. I
So
things change.
I'm gonna
Things
come back
change.
to that. That's a rather interesting comment that you just made. But let me take a slight detour and go back to something you just said. You talked about the fact that there's a lot of people that you're obviously interested in. A lot of the late announced members that are from the outside. You've done a lot in your career. You've obviously had this fountain of blood, as I like to add. But how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel nervous, excited to meet people? I mean, you obviously
Absolutely
haven't
excited.
gone out and traveled, in a while like this. So how does that make you feel in terms of going into something that you're going to be in 20 days from now?
Absolutely excited. Just to see what others can do. I mean, not only do I get to perform, but I get to like watch all these people perform right there. You know what I mean? Feet away. So I mean, like obviously there's excitement there.
Do you feel like that will you be asking guys questions or trying to get to know people or advice? Would you give it? I mean, how will you go about that in terms of just different people that you're going to get a chance to meet here?
I mean, I'm gonna just treat it like a locker room, shake everybody's hand, introduce myself, be respectful. You know what I mean? Like I'm not really sure what exactly you're asking there. I mean,
No,
it's
no. What
a
I'm
bunch of
actually said.
people. It's a bunch of people with a common love coming together.
Well,
Like,
what I'm asking is not so much in the competition aspect for a second. I'll come back to that. But what I'm saying is that we spoke. It's a unique situation. I'm not sure if you've been in something like this in your career before. So will you treat it as something where when you obviously go out there and compete, but before that, let's say, maybe even afterwards, will you try to soak up as, let's say, much conversations with people as possible and try to basically, get to know as many people in as humanly possible time? Because again, you've accomplished a lot, but you've even said, and I think we've even said it here on this platform, this is really something that's kind of unique. I think this and Summer Bash, which is taking place the following month, are things that really haven't been done in a while in the underground, in the yard. And I was just curious from that aspect of it, since you probably haven't been into something like this before in your career, do you just soak it all in, take it all, and just try to,
this
talk
is
to as many
what
people as possible?
this is what should be happening. This is like if people are in areas surrounding each other, they know that they exist. They should be putting on giant shows. This is what should be happening. Like there shouldn't be this isn't like a ratings war or like
Although
like
there's some companies out there, real talk for a
are
second.
full of shit is
Yeah,
what
there's
they
some.
are.
There's a real talk for a second. There are some companies out there with initials that treat like their shows when they're released and uploaded as if like, oh my god, like one company, for example, I'm gonna say it. One company with three initials. I had a guy on who actually just wrestled unannounced for a company in Palo, Iowa, there for the Palo Community Center. And I had him on, and the promoter of that company was basically a failed indie talent that has had a company that really has kind of been stale in terms of their quote unquote ratings. Was mad that I had him on toward the main event of his show, which basically only had like 9 people watching it on YouTube. We probably get more people watching live here on YouTube. And he was treating like every show he has like a ratings war. And it's not a ratings war, you knucklehead. It's not a ratings war. We're all on the same thing. Nobody's making money off this. Nobody's getting rich off this. Real talk for a second, because your company actually has some real ones in it. It doesn't matter. Any publicity is good publicity. So at the end of the day, this is all good stuff, and you should say thank you very much instead of trying to ignore the platform. And that's why you burn bridges with guys And that's why you have guys that basically don't want to work in your promotion. And you have basically everything as stale as green molded bread because your face is stale and molded. You've talked down to this platform over and over again. And yes, you have some guy that's a big fan of ours that is obviously in our Hall of Fame twice, and that's Justin Parsley doing a lot to obviously mend some fences, but it's really on your end. And that's why you don't have any outside talent that really wants to work for you because you don't have the environment that we're going to see at Riot in the Ring. And we don't have the environment here that you have there. So we have a good environment here at Riot in the Ring. We have a good environment coming up in Summer Bash. And that's why, to me, when companies talk about ratings and talk about these things as if like it's WWE versus AEW or the Monday Night Raws, they're intellectually dishonest. And that's somebody that, to quote Michael Jackson, might need a man in the mirror look, a hard talk, almost a hard times Dusty Rhodes talk. It must be for you, that promoter. You might need that hard times, that long and hard times conversation that when you really talk about those things, and then you kind of talk about we're going to bring people on base to the storylines, it's intellectually dishonest. But that's what I want to say, Mr. Havok, and I'm glad that you feel the same way as I do. Is there anybody that you would like to, before I get to comments, specifically like to face or specifically maybe like to, I don't know, address in the Riot in the Ring?
Not at this time. I'm not. I'm gonna keep
Plead the fifth?
I'm gonna keep the wheels that are turning in my head quiet.
So you want to be one of these guys that's kind of a under the radar. You want to be one of these guys that basically, let me get this straight, wants to do their talking in the ring, or maybe I would say a riot in the ring, more or less.
I mean, you're gonna see everything's gonna be clear. You know, I mean, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do.
Fair play. Okay, let me come back to some comments because a lot of people want to join the conversation. I just put up the NEW YouTube page. They're almost at 2,000 subscribers. So if you're out there, hit that sub button for them. And let me get to a bunch of comments here because a lot of people here will want to say something. Okay. I don't know where I'm going. I don't want to get Mark, so I'll stay in D. I don't know what that comment is from C2K. Can you clarify that for me? The Hardcore King, he's an Atomic Turd. That's Atomic Tight. I don't know if you're familiar with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling and Atomic Tight. I don't know. You're probably, figuring out, what weapon you're going to use next and, who you're going to maybe put in a barbed wire or maybe glass and tables, or maybe you're going to go through glass and tables. But I don't think you probably have any, inclining, and don't even worry about it. What's a king to a god, though, Tom? Thanks. Insert rapper here. Well, what would be a king to a god? Certainly not a queen. Certainly not a craven. That rhymes, right? DTW is mine, so I'm staying in DTW. What is DTW? Somebody wants you in C2K again. Now, correct, just to be safe, right? Just to be safe, I'm gonna make everybody here at ease. Just to be safe, Riot in the Ring, C2K is not going to be the unannounced opponent of yours at Riot in the Ring on June 1st. Correct me if I'm wrong. He's not going to be.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think this would be something that would be kind of out of his step. Pretty safe to say. He would be more like the Disney lane. He's more of the Disney type of wrestler. He would want to stay more in, like the cosplay kind of. That would be good for him, more of the cosplay. So this wouldn't be really suitable for C2K. This would be viewer discretion or wrestler discretion advised when it comes to C2K in the ring. So basically, you won't be facing him, I would imagine.
No, not anytime soon, not ever.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, moving on. So is C2K going to be champion in his company? I have no idea. Ask him that question. All Wrestling Matters title is going to be mine. I would love to see you win it, obviously. If there's a will and a way to get you to Bremen, Ohio, I think you would add a lot to that. I think there's a list of hardcore wrestlers that are going to be there, serious hardcore wrestlers that actually have done a lot. And I think you'd be, really a great add to that and a strong contender. Omen versus CJ Black in a submission match. C2K is not going to be champion in his company. Well, who is signed in the company, by the way? Who did they sign? I don't think it's Stefan Havok. I don't think it's Jake Matthews. The first ever C2K on this. People are just having fun at C2K's expense. And I don't think that's fair because he's a Hall of Famer and a talk show host. Havok, if you want to go down that road, then I'll be on the roadblock for you at Summer Bash. So Omen Black, I don't know if you're familiar with Omen Black. Obviously he's a guy that has traveled up and down the scene in the underground, the backyard. He's become kind of a fan favorite, like yourself, a hardcore deathmatch expert. You've been doing it longer, but maybe he's made more of a recent impact. And, I wouldn't mind seeing you and him if that happens. I don't know. That's up to the powers that be. I have no power in that.
That's a valid match, I think.
I would love to see it. You might even see TVs be used in that match. You might even see glass tables used in that match. You guys both, bring some of those things to the table. Maybe you might even get some early Christmas ornaments into the Summer Bash. After all, people actually start Christmas shopping for whatever it's worth in July, and you might have Christmas trees. Maybe you'll have some, I don't know, jingle bells. Maybe we'll put some sleighs out there, some sleigh rides. Owen could probably fit in a sleigh ride. You could probably, push the sleigh ride down the ring, and maybe that'll be your attempt to try to win. But Owen will get back up because he got back up last night. So, that'll be a conversation for a different time. I'll leave it at that. No, I'm good. I'm going to let someone else be champion. Welcome, C2K. Wait, are we sure about this? C2K, you want Havok again? Let's move on. He meant to say, well, moving on. Have no hard feelings. I know we had some up and downs in RWA. Let me ask you, though, a question. We saw the last episode this past week. Anything you'd like to elaborate on that? Obviously, Unwanted, was obviously a huge part of what the company's had most recently. You were the hardcore champion there, the BYW world champion. And anything you want to add on that? What was the experience like with RWA for you in this past year?
I enjoyed RWA. I got to work with a lot of great people there. Last episode I thought was interesting. I wasn't there for that, but I thought it was very interesting. Definitely went a different, direction than I thought it was going to go. I had fun there, I won a title. I lost a title with bullshit circumstances, and the
Unwanted. Unwanted.
Yeah, the Unwanted basically took over the whole show. So it is what it is there. I'm pretty sure a few of them are at the Riot in the Ring. So
I did see a couple of those particular individuals. Will that be a little how can I put it? Will that a little be weird? Will that be? I don't think you guys are going to be on a road trip together from what I saw on TV.
They're in Buffalo. I'm in Saratoga. There's no road trip, man.
Yeah, no, that's for those that don't know. Saratoga is more kind of like in the center, sort of just almost where the races are. Whereas in Buffalo, you're basically right by the Canadian border. So they have a longer travel than you do, because if they're going to Buffalo to Mass, that's a long trek. Sure. They might as well fly at that point.
That's that 8.5 hour that I was talking about for sure.
Oh my God, that's the Canadian. Right now, we've been complaining, and for those that don't know this, in New York City, it's been unseasonably cold the last few days. In Buffalo, it's probably so cold there still. They're probably getting snow possibly, because here in New York, it's only been like, I don't even think we had 50 degrees the last 2 days. And I'm sure that means in Buffalo, it's probably like 4 inches of snow on the ground. So that would be, some things that I'm sure we'll talk about. Let me say hello to one of my buddies out there who has not been here in a long time, who I have to bring him back on. I owe him an appearance, because I actually, seriously, this is a serious one. I have to put him in the Sportzwire Radio Hall of Fame. He is the Tribal Cheese, and I'm not going to be able to get him on until the end of May, because I'm actually working in the middle of the day for most of the next 2 weeks. But after Memorial Day here in America, I will have plenty of free time for the next 2 or 3 months, and he will be on the platform again. It's been a long time, and I've seen a live good evening, my friends. And yes, and how are you, Tribal Cheese? And he's a big man. If he would ever come to the Riot in the Ring, if Mr. Matthews could pay his travel, I would love to see the Tribal Cheese in there. He is a big man, by the way. He was a military man once upon a time. He was a mixed martial arts fighter. He's a marathon climber. He does everything, literally, and I'd love to see him in the Riot in the Ring. But moving on, better yet, Havok, you find a partner at Summer Bash and face Matthews and I in a tag team death match. I'm pretty sure I can get management to approve the match. Are you being challenged right here on this platform?
Is that 2 for 1 right there?
I believe so. I'm not good at numbers. I can't count.
Do I have to have a partner? Do I care?
Well, I know you're not going to have C2K as your tag team partner.
Yeah, no.
Let's move on. Mr. Matthews put the eyeballs up. Yes, how the tribal cheese, how is he doing? We'd love to know that, and he will be back here soon. I would like management to buy me a first class flight in a limo to pick me up from the airport. You're going to laugh because there's a guy, CJ Black. He's the good guy, CJ Black. He's a 7-star superstar. We have a backyard wrestling version of Dave Meltzer now. Yes, things have changed in the yard since you've came back, and he rates matches on TikTok, and he gives 7 stars, and this guy, CJ Black, actually got 7 stars, and Mr. Matthews now believes he should also, because he's kind of a hardcore 7-star guy, that he should get a first class flight in a limo to pick him up for the airport. But I'll leave that to management for Summer Bash, and I'll focus on you before I get to more comments. People want the boogeyman of the Midwest and the best in NEW, Jake Matthews, to team up at Summer Bash. That could be certainly like Mick Foley and Terry Funk teaming up, who knows, and go toe-to-toe with the icon and his chosen teammate, which would be you. C2K couldn't hang in NEW. Is that true? Or did he have a fingernail that he couldn't basically cut off? Did he have a fingernail or a hanging? No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even. How long was my match with him?
Like 20 seconds. No, it was like 4 minutes. Like 4 minutes. About 4 minutes. I could put it up on the screen, but I'd rather not do that for the audience. I'd rather not. But I will put up your YouTube channel up in a second. And Mr. Taylor actually wants to give you much respect. And yes, how is the tribal cheese doing? Craven Rage is out there. Have you heard of Craven Rage before? He calls himself a backyard nightmare, a ruler of the yard. He was a champion for like over 500 days. Have you heard of this guy before?
I know who Craven Rage is. Craven Rage knows who I am.
What do you think about Craven Rage? I mean, we didn't see him in the riot in the ring. I mean, is this a guy? I mean, what's your opinion of him? He's actually the one guy that turned down being in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. Then the next day basically said, like, gotcha, guys. It's a joke. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm going to be in. I mean, what do you make of this Craven Rage guy? He's supposedly rated very high by Copper Dragon, and also who was known way back in the day, I'm sure from something you've heard of, called the GBYWN. And almost like kind of how maybe guys that have been on this platform in the last week need an OBGYN. But
I respect the grind for sure.
That's cool. I respect that. I respect that comment. Yes, Craven's been on here many times, too many times, some would say. But he's been on here. He's a friend of the platform, just like you're a friend of the platform. It's good to have you back. Good to have you back, by the way. I'll give the tribal cheese a hot dog and a handshake for showing up. Actually, for those that don't know, believe it or not, in England, so if you've ever gone to like a British independent wrestling show, they're actually legendary for hot dogs. So it's a big thing when you go to an indie show in the UK for hot dogs. So I would like to say I don't eat hot dogs very often. Yes, I am a weird duck, as you can see. But the only time I'll have a hot dog is if it's like as burnt as, let's say, maybe Stefan Havok's, blood on a July summer day. It's got to be crisp red. It's got to be blood burnt so I can taste all the burned. And that's kind of like Stefan Havok's opponents. After he hits them with a baseball bat wrapped with barbed wire, or puts them through glass in a table, or thumbtacks, and and then maybe they'll need tums after they get basically put through those thumbtacks in a table, or everything else he's gonna need. Maybe some Christmas ornaments, maybe some sleigh rides, and ho ho ho. We're gonna move on to some more comments here. My name is being. It's what people are just having fun. C2K. People love you, and they're just having fun because they know that you're obviously an 8-time Hall of Famer, right? Is it 8 or 9 times now? I lost count. Are you going to be a 17-time Hall of Famer? I think that's Justin Parsley's one. So you might want to, remove that idea. My name is being dragged. My last start was a 6.8. Thank you for reminding me. James Taylor had his last match 6.8 stars, which was literally just rated by Copper Dragon. I want to say hello to a good friend of ours who also does some hardcore work in the great country of Australia, Ace Reed of the Wired Up podcast, who has got to be up at, what time is it by you, Ace? Is it almost lunchtime tomorrow? So Ace is here, and no, he's not Rhea Ripley. Listen, we were actually going to have Rhea Ripley come on the show, but we had Ace Reed instead because we wanted obviously somebody who's an ace more than a Rhea. But breaking news: WCE has ended things with the Silver Puppy Drip Queen and the Tyler Man of Loose Screwdriver. There was this guy that came on Tuesday's show that basically, like, he wouldn't look up on the screen, and I was asking him questions, trying to be almost investigative, and I was almost, as some was saying, fatherly, like, in a bad way. Well, as you can imagine, having me as a child, you could probably imagine some of those things are ingrained in my mind. But I was trying to explain to this block that what he was doing in his match was rather asinine, and he didn't seem to get that. But apparently, 1,500 people on Facebook seem to have agreed with me. And Ace is correct. It's almost 12 p.m. I think I got that right for a change, Ace, and I owe you an appearance on Sportswire soon. C2K, we're all jealous of you and the companies you've made to be in your own Hall of Fame. Yep, you know what? That's what it is. C2K is a living legend. I just Okay, and you're going to be back on the platform in June. C2K coming on here in June, but right now, Stefan Havok is here. I want to ask you a question that I ask people. I ask all the time this question. I know you've been here before, but I'm going to ask you two questions. It's twofold, though, this question. One, what is your goals in 2024 for the rest of the year in wrestling? I know you've kind of touched upon it already, but if you were to have any goals in the Riot in the Ring? So two-part question. Goals for this year in the ring and goals maybe in the Riot in the Ring.
I'll start with your second part.
Easier, right?
I mean, my goals in the Riot in the Ring are pretty clear. I'm out for blood. I'm there to make sure that, maybe an individual, maybe individuals do not win that. As far as my goals for this year, you'll see. I haven't come public with anything yet, but you might be seeing me pop up on some other programs that you already know about, so.
Oh, programs I already know about?
Yeah.
Programs
you might see me pop up in different places. You might see me stay in some places.
People I know, you think maybe personally? Would I know these individuals as well? Or people that, never met them before, don't know anything about them? Because there are promotions I know, but I may not know people in them.
Oh, you definitely know people from these promotions.
Interesting. But we'll have to find out for that, obviously.
Yeah.
We don't want to spoil it for the people because you like to be, very under the radar. We want to, obviously, you're kind of mysterious. You're kind of like Spider-Man. After all, you've been in the ring. You've been very, at times very Spidey-like, And I actually, for those out there that want to get a taste of Mr. Havok, I have a little treat for you because I like to do something a little different here since the last time you came on this platform. You want to see a little bit of Stefan Havok? I'm going to play you something. It's a very quick video where you get a chance to see what's in store. And maybe if you're out there, you want to book this man, you're going to get your chance right now to see it. How about some of this footage there, ladies and gentlemen? Want to see a front flip senton? You know you want to. Look at that. Did it only on Twitch. Was that C2K there? Roadkill looks like it. How about this year coming up? I mean, boy, this is what you're going to see coming up on June 1st. Boy, I think James Taylor even didn't do that back in 98, 99. I mean, that was somewhere in upstate New York. You could clearly tell from where that was. Twist Assault. I mean, boy, that's certainly going to be somebody getting twisted. Almost kind of reminds me of a Danzig song. Twisted Summer. Was a Twisted Cane? Twisted Cane. That used to be a song they used to play all the time here in New York. Spider's Web. Oh, boy, you're going to see this. Look at this here. Something tells me here spider season's coming early. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to hurt. And I can only imagine that somebody's going to be in real serious pain. How about the Perfect Plex? Boy, God rest his soul, Mr. Perfect, but we've got certainly Stefan Havok who's going to do the Havok Plex maybe. Boy, look at this here, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, look at how well that was done. Oh boy, look at this here. How about this one coming up here? Like I said, back in that Spider-Man garb there. There you go. Super kick. Guess who this is? Want to take a guess? Not yet. Look for it. Wait for it. He gets back up. Boy, that's good. And oof, that's going to hurt. Unwanted. I think we're looking at you. Boy, that guy, he tried. He tried his best. Didn't work out there, boy. There's some people that might want to say, talk show, super kick. You got it in the head. How about that? What was that, 99? It looks like. And boy, this is what you're going to see coming up here on June the 1st. Wraparound DDT. Almost reminds me of the song Wipeout. How about this here? Watch, eat your heart out for your competitors coming up here. Look at this here. Boy, something tells me here, upstate New York has never been the same. Oh, man, look at that there. Mick Foley didn't do that. Boy, and how about that guy? I think he got something there for one of his most recent promos on C2K show there. Boy, how about that? Oh, that's going to hurt. You're going to be seeing all of this coming up here on June the 1st. Look at the moves of Havok. And boy, they used to say they had the moves like Jagger. Well, he's got the moves like Havok. You're going to be seeing here, and something tells me here this is going to be a lot more heavier than Maroon 5, and it's going to be quicker than a New York Minute, and you're going to certainly not want to take 5 when you're in the ring with Stefan Havok. And I can assure you that this is going to be one that you won't want to miss coming up here on the Riot in the Ring. And there you have it there. What did you think of me showing the video there before we get to some final things? You like the video? You like the commentary on the video?
Yeah, that was great. That was great. You sold the shit out of me. I appreciate that.
I don't think I sold you well enough the first time. Now, today, I think from 15 months ago, it's a different world. It's a different place. But Mr. Omen Block has got something to say to you before I actually pull up some more links before final words. Come on, Havok. Made 2 challenges, nothing in return. No hard feelings sport, but I'm on a path that will cement my name in the list of greats, and you're just another name to cross off. Well, stay tuned. Stay tuned, right? That's a fair way.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? That's only fair. And also, you've been invited by Mr. Darkron, who actually is running the event, Summer Bash, with Omen Black. And he would like to see Stefan Havok versus Matthew Forsaken. Matthew Forsaken is a guy very similar to you and kind of how he's become a hardcore deathmatch wrestler, but he's made his kind of teeth in that. And just basically, so you have an idea, Darkron and Matthew Forsaken, they're brothers, and they've started a company, DKW, which has almost 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Very similar to your kind of upbringing. They started out, they were big fans of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. They're in my Hall of Fame. And, they obviously have done a lot of hardcore and deathmatch wrestling. And the inspiration to Summer Bash was really from a DKW and IMF thing they held last summer. And I think that's why he would like to see that. And I also want to pull up some merchandise that you have here before I get to a few final things. So if you want to buy some merchandise, because everybody needs to buy some merchandise, you can do that here from a slew of stars here, including Mr. Stefan Havok. And that's the link here. You got a great list of talents and some people that we're going to see coming up here at the Riot in the Ring. You can do that for sure by looking through the Bonfire page. And it's Bonfire backspace store, backspace merch world -1. Look at all these shirts. You got gift cards. You got Stefan Havok, the Icon hat shirt. You got the Stefan Havok comic shirt. You got a whole list of shirts, whole list of merchandise. Stefan, I like to say these days, the only thing I have in my wardrobe is wrestling shirts. So I got to add one more to the pile. I got to add your shirt one of these days in the next couple of weeks. So that way, at this point, maybe I'll just be buried in wrestling shirts because I got so many of them at this point. I'm going to add yours to the collection. So everybody out there, if you want to support Stefan Havok, you can do that here and support the great talents that were in RWA and elsewhere. And he'll be a part of the Riot in the Ring coming up on June the 1st. And we'll have more coverage coming up here, by the way. Riot in the Ring. We're going to have Justin Abel Sane, who is a 2-time All Out War winner. And he has reminded me he's got a few things to say about what Mr. Jake Matthews had to say on my show yesterday. He's going to be here at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And Thursday night, D'Angelo LaFlame, who is a backyard, an underground wrestling darling. He is the Resurrection Wrestling Internet Champion. He is here at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And he'll talk about a number of different things. And maybe even he'll bring you up. All right, Mr. Havok, before I get to some closing thoughts and a few other things, what would you like to say as first your final words to any of your future opponents and anybody else you're going to meet coming up on June 1st?
Just stay tuned. That's all I mean, I think a few times you try to break me a little bit, try to get me to open up and tell you what my plans are. Just stay tuned.
But it won't be a C2K plan, at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to leave the past in the past. You know what I mean?
You know what the problem is on this platform is that people, they're ingrained and they've seen, they like the debauchery. They like when they see people come on here and, different things going. I love C2K, by the way. I've known him, just about as long as you. And, I love having C2K on. He's going to be back on here in a couple of weeks, and he's great. Love everything he does. But, there are people out there that have their opinions, and, everybody's entitled to them. But he is a part of All Wrestling Matters. He is a part of the Hall of Fame. He's now become a God-fearing man. He's moved to Dunkirk, and he's changed his life. And, maybe he'll be on his way next to a dream match with Craven Rage against Omen Black and CJ Black and Summer Bash. Maybe that's the route instead of worrying about you. maybe we'll see that Craven Rage C2K Dream Tag team that everybody's been waiting for, and that's maybe the way we're going to go there. But Craven Rage, we like to say much respect to Havok. Okay, we all respect you. Maybe I would like to ask, I would like to ask you something actually that I have kind of wanted to ask you in the past. And I think now it's a good time to have you on here live. And maybe that we're trying to rectify different things since you've been back on here about 15 months. There's a lot of hardcore wrestlers in this Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, right? A lot of these different guys, right? They're in the hardcore scene. They're in the deathmatch lane. Jake Matthews is in the Hall of Fame. Omen Black's in the Hall of Fame. You got, obviously, guys like Matthew Forsaken, who were brought up in the Hall of Fame. Skulls, quote unquote, is in the Hall of Fame. C2K is in the Hall of Fame. Some other hardcore wrestlers. Atomic Titan is in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I say this. Atomic Titan is in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame as a hardcore king. You were kind of the hardcore icon, you might want to say. And maybe the next time you come on this platform, maybe after you do what you say you're intending to do at the Riot in the Ring, the next appearance, maybe you do take your place in the Hall of Fame. Because after all, some guys that are in there deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. There's some other guys that are hardcore. Like I said, they're hardcore. They might be as hardcore as kind of a pop rap song, but they're hardcore. But maybe you would want to be in this Hall of Fame to show who is the true hardcore icon. Because after all, Jake Matthews is one of the best. He's considered to be the best Hall of Famer by some. He's won the most championships. Omen Black's a hardcore god. It's even his show after all. There's other guys out there that are, quote unquote, saying they're hardcore. Skulls. He also, by the way, he's got ring experience. He works ring crew and he's a promoter. That's what he is. He's a promoter. Want to make sure people know he's a promoter. But there's a slew of other hardcore talents. Anthony Steele, probably heard of Anthony Steele. He's been around in the yard for a long time. He's also worked some deathmatch hardcore wrestling stuff. James Taylor's done some hardcore work. But I was thinking maybe you would like to take your place in history amongst the greats and be able to say that you're the true hardcore icon of the entire Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame.
That's on you, man. I don't really title myself.
You don't need titles.
It's kind of a thing, but
that's
on you.
All right. Well, maybe I think people might want to see you in the Hall of Fame. Maybe people might want to see the aftermath of the Riot in the Ring. Maybe people want to see what the future is of Stefan Havok. Maybe people want to see you more often. I don't know. I'm just, trying to give the people what they want and, have true greatness in the Hall of Fame. True greatness, because Jake Matthews has been talking about the fact that he might be statistically the greatest Hall of Famer. He's won the most championships of any Hall of Famer. You're going to meet him on June 1st. I'm sure you'll have a conversation with him about that. Omen Black, like I said, it's a hardcore god. Obviously there's Matthew Forsaken. We're all Forsaken. There's Anthony Steele, who's been a long time player in the yard. There's obviously James Taylor. There's other people, Justin Parsley, who's hardcore, and Atomic Titan, amongst other people. But, just wanted to, Sean Jovi's recently become a hardcore wrestler. He's doing some of that stuff. He's wrestled guys like Ox McCoy veterans. And, maybe you would even one up a guy that was supposed to be in the Riot in the Ring, a guy who's actually named Hardcore. Now, Mr. Havok, I wish I could have seen you in Hardcore in the Riot in the Ring, but Hardcore obviously couldn't make it in the Riot in the Ring, but we've got you instead. But I would have loved to have seen you in Hardcore in the Ring. But maybe we'll see that one day down the road. But I think
maybe one day down the road.
One day down the road. I think Hardcore's...
He's definitely a guy on my list for sure that I wouldn't mind sharing the ring with.
Is there any dream opponents for you then before closing? Is there any dream hardcore wrestlers you'd love to wrestle? Anybody that's out there? Could be anywhere. Doesn't have to be in the yard. Could be any hardcore guy you'd like to wrestle.
I just take it one guy at a time, and there's a lot of people I'd love to wrestle.
Sure.
And it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of when. I think everybody that I intend to wrestle, I will. So
I think there's always an old line: when there's a will, there's a way. And you know what? I could see it, and I'd love to see you against hardcore. I'd love to see you against a guy that I'm very Adu Bulat. He is kind of the UK hardcore deathmatch version of guys like yourself and hardcore and Jimmy Controversy. He's also apparently Romania's best athlete and wrestler. He's Mr. Vampire. You probably get along with him. You probably have a lot in common with him, but we'll have to see. All right, so I think we've got the point. I think Stefan Havok is going to be here on June the 1st at Riot in the Ring. He is going to let his wrestling do the talking. He is going to certainly show us why he's got that fountain of blood. He definitely doesn't have a big, bad bald patch, unlike some that have been on this platform. He is definitely unlike some that were on this platform who did a number 2, or guys that were so drunk they had to be thrown off this platform, in addition to be thrown out of a bar, and also be deactivated permanently, hopefully from a ring and Sportswire Radio, or others that apologized on here, and others that came on here and had to be lectured, and guys that couldn't look me in the eye, and everything else in between. It's been quite a last 10 days on Sportswire Radio. Stefan Havok was certainly somebody that gave us a lot of havoc, but like I said, ladies and gentlemen, he will do that havoc in the ring at the Riot in the Ring coming up on June the 1st. I'm very excited about it. We have coverage coming up here, and also it's going to be NEW month for the month of June. So hopefully you'll be back in June, because it's NEW month. I've actually dedicated a month to NEW for the Riot in the Ring, because it's supposed to be aired throughout the month, I would imagine, and we'll get to see a lot of footage and stuff and everything else in between. And I hope you'll come back and talk about your experiences, unless you've had so much fun and tasted so much blood that maybe you would like to not come back. I don't know, but before I get to closing thoughts, could I let somebody that's a hardcore wrestler say hello to you very quickly, only if you insist?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to actually do that here. While you want, ladies and gentlemen, please follow our friends over at NEW. You can follow them on all platforms. They are on YouTube. They're on Patreon. And by the way, I like to make the announcement here for those that are out there, Mr. Havok. I am actually supporting NEW because I actually subscribe to the Patreon channel now. So actually, I'm in a small way, supporting you going down there to NEW. So I like to support my friends. I like to put my money where my mouth is. I like to be one of those people that actually goes out there and, does all the talking, not just on Sportswire, but literally outside of it, maybe, with my wallet. And that's why I'm very happy about to support our friends over at NEW. So you can certainly do so as well. I'm going to put the link up here for those that are listening and watching before I have a guest come on here for a few minutes just to introduce themselves, Mr. Havok, and congratulate you on a great career, and just say thank you for all that you've done here for us. So while I'm about to do that here, and please support our friends, also support Stefan Havok. Stefan Havok has been one of the reasons that true yarders do it for the love of this sport. He has done that. This man has done it all. Let's support those who support us, and he has definitely been one of those people that has been one of our longest tenured supporters, and Mr. Stefan Havok. And looks like I'm about to bring on here an individual. And right before I do that, as promised, I want to get that link out here for our friends at NEW. So YouTube, let's get them to 2,000 subscribers. Instagram, there's the link. Facebook, there's the link. Patreon, join me and hit that sub button for our friends over at NEW. And certainly Stefan Havok is a part of that. So let's make sure we support all the great people out there. Let me get one more comment in. Also, C2K says he wants to see you in the Hall of Fame. But if you do get inducted into the Hall of Fame, I can assure you that I'll just induct you. But I have a special surprise for you. It's a special guest. He's here after nearly dying in the ring yesterday. He nearly died from Damian St. I don't know. Why are you alive? I thought you'd be in a hospital somewhere in Iowa. I thought you might be on, certainly maybe CPR after what happened yesterday. I am really surprised you're here because, as I would always say, kids, don't try this at home. This is somebody that's a professional. He's trained. He's been through all this stuff, and he barely lived, and he's here. I don't know why you're here. I don't know how you've survived. But Omen Black, you've certainly drank the fountain of blood like Stefan Havok, and I'm so glad you're okay. I'm so glad you're safe and sound. And what would you like to tell us here on Sportswire Radio?
Havok, you're a hard guy to get to respond back to. So I thought, what? I might as well come onto my show and get your response live.
Are you okay, though? You sure you don't need smelling salt from all the blood you took yesterday?
I'm perfect, Tom. You know me. I love the pain. But Havok, I've kind of addressed you several times tonight on challenges, and you've just kind of gave me the cold shoulder. And that's disrespectful.
I mean, whatever happens, brother.
Let's see what happens at Summer Bash.
I have no intentions of
over here
any summer bashing.
You have no intentions. Well, hopefully, me addressing you live will give you some motivation for summer bashing, as you call it.
Bashing.
because I'm officially challenging you to find a partner to go against me and my partner Jake Matthews in a tag team death match.
And
And I'm gonna tell you right now, do not pick C2K because that's basically a handicap.
Did you mean figuratively and
trust
literally?
me, this isn't golf. This is what real men do. Guys like me and you, Jake Matthews, Hardcore, Obey, Jimmy Controversy, Mikey Anarchy, Matthew Forsaken. The list goes on. I can keep going if you want me to. But this is what we do. And like I said, I'm trying to cement my name as one of the greats in our version of wrestling. And you're just a notch that I need to check off. So
I just want to let people know that golf is too much of a white man's sport for me. Just want to let the audience know that.
Foot in the ground, 1 foot.
You know, maybe we can make something happen.
Well, hopefully I'll see you at Summer Bash. If not, I know where to find you.
Oh, he left. So Mr. Havok, he just left. I suppose that we'll find out one day about that, but interesting, right? Just very interesting, just interesting conversation.
Interesting conversation.
All right, well, Mr. Havok, I think we've pretty much seen it all. Mr. Omen Black has given us, I guess, a cliffhanger for another time. If we'll see Havok unlike no other at Summer Bash. Hint, hint, but I want to give you the floor, give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, Mr. Havok? And this was, I think, an interesting experience. I think that this was more interesting than the last time you came on here.
It was interesting. I just want to thank you for your time. That's where I'm going to end this with.
Sounds good to me.
I got the time. This was enjoyable.
It was fun.
I'm extremely excited for the riot.
Me too. Me too.
I mean, just stay tuned for that and keep watching after that because you never know, man. You never know.
I have one funny question. I promise you, this one you'll actually laugh. Will you be coming out to the same music? Remember that like that like that? The music you come out with is kind of like that very progressive intro you come out with, like that. Almost, it sounds like you have like a guitar that comes out to a bass. You know what I'm talking about for your music?
What are you talking about?
That would be. Will you come out to that? Well, can you tell the audience?
No, I got
by the way.
I got something else planned for that.
I actually did like that song, by the way. I was kind of hoping that you'd come out to it, actually.
Yeah. No, I got something else planned.
Okay, fair enough. I thought that
you'll be more than happy, I'm sure.
Oh, good. Okay. So I can assure you it's not one of my raps or one of C2K's raps, but Stefan Havok will definitely come out with something that is really hardcore, that'll really show why he is going to put the 10 moves of Havok out there and some. You know, everybody used to say, oh, this, and that, who's hardcore, who isn't. Well, he's going to be putting that all to bed coming up here at the Riot in the Ring on June the 1st. You can follow Mr. Havok on all platforms, and also Mr. Black would like to tell us the other, but it's confusing with the amount of Blacks and Havocs. You guys' names all rhyme. But, okay, you can follow him here. I'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock Eastern time with, speaking of hardcore, Atomic Titan, who's hardcore, who's apparently the hardcore king. As I see the open and close quotes. He's going to be here live to talk about why he's going to be so hardcore coming up at TBW's anniversary show. And then Tuesday, I'll be here with Justin Abel Sane, maybe potentially one of your future opponents, but maybe he would be, to quote Cypress Hill, insane in the main brain if he would actually want to go up in the ring against you. Or another guy, D'Angelo LaFlame, Thursday night, 10 o'clock. But until then, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regular scheduled programming. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one global station that is Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters. And please support our friends over at NEW. They are truly the hardcore underground place to be currently. So if you're not with them, you are certainly going to be squaring. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why my link won't end. Oh, it may not end. Oh, shoot. There we go. End stream. There we go.